Howdy, boys. UFC 310's main event was announced the other day. Bilal Muhammad versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. I figured I would give my thoughts and opinions on the main card. It's shaping up to look pretty good. I do think there's one fight on here that is a fucking stinker. But otherwise, I'm pretty excited for most of these fights. In the main event, as mentioned, Bilal Muhammad and Shavkat, I think this is more even than people are giving it credit. I see a lot of people saying Shavkat's just going to absolutely destroy Bilal, and I could see that happening because he is just so fucking dangerous. But could you guys not just see Bilal outpointing him, techniquing, game planning IQ, whatever you want to call it, for 5 rounds? Because I certainly could. I think Bilal pushes a better pace and keeps the pace, and I think he has better IQ, better I don't know. I wouldn't say all-around striking, but better boxing. Shavkat has better jiu-jitsu and probably has the takedown defense to stuff a majority of Bilal's shots. But I kind of want to go with Muhammad. I think Bilal can get it done. Shavkat slows throughout the fights because he constantly goes for the finish. He rushes shit, too. While Bilal is much more patient and looks for, position over submission, or makes certain that you are going to quit on the feet before he really starts laying down shots. And I think he can just outpace him. Outpatience, compose. Going with Bilal might be a hot take, and my opinion probably will change, to be honest. But initial thoughts, Bilal by decision. And in the co-main, Alexander Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. Now, I'm going to be honest. I'm a bit of a MMA casual overall. I'm not versed in other organizations. I don't watch ONE FC or Ryzen or whatever else, Cage Warriors and shit. So when this fight got announced, I had no idea who Kai Asakura was. I watched a few of his fights, and while I am impressed, he does have some holes in his game. He doesn't seem to be too afraid of submissions, and he does not have the greatest striking defense. He keeps his chin up and is willing to eat shots. With that being said, I do think I'm going to go with Pantoja. I think he's just going to be too much of a marauder throughout the fight. Kai will be bigger, though. That's something of note. He's taller. I think he's also got a reach advantage. It doesn't show on ESPN. And he's obviously coming down from 135. So he will be big in there against Pantoja. But will that affect him negatively? Will the weight cut impact his performance? I think it potentially could. I imagine he's done test cuts like Kayla Harrison did. So he probably knows he can comfortably make the weight. But that still could affect him. And with how he has somewhat disregard for strikes and submissions, I just think Pantoja, with his crazy marauder style, will be too much for him. And of course, this is only going off of a couple fights. I think I only watched 3 of his fights on YouTube. So this could be a terrible take, but going with Pantoja by a finish. And in the feature fight, Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov 2, a rematch 3 years in the making. I'm going with Alexander Volkov. I don't think my opinion will change. Maybe it will. Not likely, though. I think Volkov has gotten a lot better since then, and I don't think Cyril has improved any, if at all. Volkov is in better shape also. He's on a 4 or 5 fight win streak. And yes, some of the guys he has beaten on that win streak, Cyril has already beaten. But I think Volkov beat them more convincingly, some of them. You could say, Cyril softened Tai up for Volkov, but Cyril also almost got dropped by Tai. Or he did get dropped by Tai. I guess nearly got finished. Even though I don't think grappling will play into this fight at all, if it does, we know Cyril has no fucking wrestling. Alexander did really good in the first fight with leg kicks. If he could build off of that, I think it could be a very important factor in this fight, especially if he's able to take away Cyril's movement, because that's kind of what he's known for, is his very floaty, in and out lateral movement. And yeah, I don't know. I can't trust how serious Cyril is taking the game since he's been out for like a fucking year filming movies. And Volkov has shown the hunger recently on a 4-fight win streak, beating good guys, good competition. Going with Volkov. I probably will say a decision, I imagine, because Cyril is pretty hard to finish. Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. Now, to be honest, I fucking hate both of these guys. Don't like how inactive Evloev is, and I don't like how salty, dumb, and annoying Aljamain is. That being said, though, this is kind of a win-win fight for me. I get to see one of them lose, and then whoever wins gets closer to being knocked out by Diego Lopez or Ilia Topuria. Talking on the fight, though, it probably will be somewhat of a boring grappling fest. Maybe we get some cool scrambles. I doubt their striking will be anything to marvel over, considering both of them kind of have pillow fist, and Aljo's striking is nothing to marvel at. So yeah, probably going to be a boring smudge grapple fest, but hey, we get to see one of these cunts lose. And to kick off the main card, Vicente Luque versus Nick Diaz. I do not like this fight. I don't think it should be on this card, on a pay-per-view main card, nor do I think it should be even a sanctioned bout. Both of these men should fucking retire after their last performances. They looked beyond washed. Luke, I don't even know how Luque is still allowed to fight after having a fucking brain bleed. No clue how he is still a sanctioned fighter. Crazy to me. And then Nick Diaz, I think he's just here for a fucking paycheck. Pretty obvious. And they just looked so fucking bad in their last fights. Nick looked like a 51-year-old, not a 41-year-old, and Vicente just crumbled, man. And I know he was fighting Buckley, and Buckley's on kind of a hot streak right now, but you don't want to see a dude who suffered a brain bleed crumbling in the octagon. That's just not a fucking good sign. So yeah, I don't even really have an opinion on this fight. It's basically just whoever shows up less washed than the other will probably win. Still, don't like it. Hate this fight. Fuck this fight. Get it off the card. If it has to be on the card, why is it on the main card? Smith and Reyes should be the opener to the main card. Get this shit off of here. It's pretty much all I have to say, though, for this card. I didn't want to go too in-depth with anything, because I'll be saying the same points and shit a few months from now when it's actually happening. So yeah, that's all I got. If you enjoyed this shit, like, comment, subscribe. It really helps out, all that bullshit. And yeah, Godspeed, cunts.